Pokopia is directly connected to the main series Pokemon games and is set in post-apocalyptic Kanto, and there's a lot of evidence to prove it. For starters, we hear from Professor Tangrowth that there haven't been any human or Pokemon inhabitants in this area in a long time. But we can see the influence of humans all around because there's broken buildings, machines, Pokemon centers that used to be there that aren't there but sort of kind of work now. There's so much evidence and remnants of human inhabitants, but you don't see them ever. And so we're led to believe that for some reason they're not here anymore. And this makes even more sense when we look at the first ever trailer, or even this trailer, where you see Ditto come out of its Pokeball and it notices a picture of it and its old trainer on a Gen 1 Pokedex. Now, to me, this seems really strange. It's like the Pokeball just suddenly out of nowhere decides to release the Pokemon. It doesn't make any sense. Why would that happen? The animation makes it seem like it was just caught, but we know that's not true because it's already been caught as it's already on this Pokedex. And the way Ditto stares at the human in this Pokedex, it doesn't really show any evidence or emotion of recognizing this trainer, making me believe that maybe it has amnesia, or maybe it's been so long that it's forgotten who this person really is. But the fact that the Pokeball and the Pokedex are there, this is 100% this person's Ditto. And because we see the Pokemon Center in its full glory in this picture, we know that this is from a time well before what we're in now, because again, it's all the Pokemon centers seem to be destroyed in the world that's in Pokopia. I'm not sure why the Pokeball was transported over here. Maybe it was in a PC and somehow this Ditto managed to escape the Pokemon PC, landed up here for whatever reason, because it does look like it was transported out. It's the animation I would assume would be for withdrawing and depositing Pokemon through a PC. And maybe it just found its way out and it decided somehow it realized it needs to release itself. Maybe, I have no idea. That's the best answer I got for now. Maybe this used to be the location of Pokemon Center itself. Who knows? But in regards to humans going extinct in this world, Professor Tangrowth pretty much confirms it, because once Ditto reaches Professor Tangrowth is shocked. It's like, Gadzooks? What, human? Like it's Scooby-Doo out here. It was spooked. And then it realizes you're really a Ditto, and then it's like, all right, let me tell you the history. This used to be a place filled with humans. Humans and Pokemon used to both live here, but now there are no humans or Pokemon. Say, how about you, Ditto? You help me make this place flourish again so that Pokemon can live here like the good old times, all right? So it's very clear this is a city or a town, and probably a city, because it specifically mentioned that a lot of humans used to live here, and then goes on to say that humans and Pokemon both lived here, right? That means that it was mainly human inhabitants. Pokemon came second. Then later on, it asks you to restore the place to its former glory, like way in the past, where Pokemon can thrive. No mention of humans at all. And if you made this place flourish like you do in the trailers, I would assume humans would live there if they're alive, but they don't seem to be. And so whatever has happened here has made it so that humans have gone extinct and Pokemon are now just living wherever. And they're trying to rebuild this city into a safe haven or a place in the olden times where Pokemon could just live and thrive, but with the use of what they know from humans, I guess. And so they can make cities and towns. It actually lore-wise makes sense, because you wouldn't just have a Pokemon make a city or a town, but if they knew what a city or town was due to prior times, they could make it for Pokemon basically. So it adds up. This does add up. You would kind of need a post-apocalyptic Pokemon world for Pokemon to just build cities and towns, unless it's Mystery Dungeon. Then you can do whatever you want. But it's definitely not Mystery Dungeon. This is 100% post-apocalyptic Kanto. There are so many reasons for this. For starters, let's start off with one of the most basic things. The music in the trailer is all Kanto music. True Green 7 pointed this out. It's on the actual trailer of the video. It was top comment there. But yeah, if you listen to all the music, it's all Kanto music. That's one thing. Again, you're playing as a Ditto. That's another big thing. And all the Kanto Pokemon are there. Like the first Pokemon they showed was all Kanto. It seemed to be like it was only gonna be Kanto Pokemon, but there are sprinkles of other gen Pokemon here and there. And sure, you might get Univen Pokemon, Kalos Pokemon, Sinnoh Pokemon here, whatever. But primarily, it seems to be once again comprised of Kanto Pokemon. The Pokedex, as mentioned earlier, is straight up a Gen 1 Pokedex. When I say Gen 1, I'm not talking Fire Red, Leaf Green. I'm not talking let's go Pikachu, let's go Eevee. I'm talking red, blue, yellow. It is the exact Pokedex that we used in the olden days, all right? So it's gotta be that. Like, it's Kanto for sure. There are so many other reasons, such as like the conversion Pokemon. That was crazy. I didn't expect any of that. I don't think any of us did, but we got Moslax and Pikachu. That's insane. Pikachu seems like Pikachu gone like dark, you know? Okay, look, it seems like a ghost Pikachu. Pikachu got unalived maybe, or maybe because there are no humans to hype up Pikachu, Pikachu got super depressed, and so it became Pikachu. I don't know, man, but all I know is that in this universe, Mimikyu is thriving. Mimikyu is like, yeah, this is how it feels to be me. Here's some crazy stuff. And then Moslax, my God, whatever Snorlax was there blocking the road, it never got captured. It just sat there and slept there forever. No one decided to move it or anything. And so it became Moslax. Like, that's the idea with these two Pokemon, I think. And then you have Smearguru, which, I don't know, maybe this guy just went crazy with the paint. I have no idea, but you know, Smearguru was just going crazy. I guess there was no one to stop him painting. He was the only artist left in town. And so he became the guru of all painters. That's gotta be it. That's gotta be it. But there's more to it. The customizable outfits for Ditto, or the trainer here, seem to heavily revolve around Kanto again. There's an outfit for Blue, there's an outfit for Red, and there's an outfit for Misty, amongst other things, I'm sure. There's even the outfit for the Sightseer from Alola and Sun and Moon, but the Sightseer was heavily implied to come from Kanto, if I'm not mistaken. So there's that. I do think we see Hugh's outfit from Gen 5, from Black 2, White 2, the rival there. So maybe, I'm sure they'll have a ton of different clothing options. So it might not relate directly to Kanto, or like this might not be evidence to say, oh, it's post-apocalyptic Kanto. But one thing that Professor Tangrowth says is that when you wear Misty's outfit, Professor Tangrowth actually goes, oh, my eyes seem to be getting a little misty, and it doesn't know why. That's obviously a reference to Misty. This is Misty's pose and everything. So it knows about Misty. It could just be a little Easter egg, but I just think it's pretty sus. Also, Professor Tangrowth being white now, like, it seems to have gotten old. It reminds me of like the vines becoming like gray hairs kind of thing, you know? So I think this is like way into the future. But anyways, I personally think Pokemon Pokopia is taking place on Cinnabar Island, like post-apocalyptic Cinnabar Island, or the islands around Kanto, maybe the Sevi Islands, something like that. Because, well, for instance, Tangela is en route from Pallet Town to Cinnabar Island. So Tangela, Professor Tangrowth, right? It evolved. It just knows a lot about the times before. It knew humans because it was in Pallet Town, and Oak and Red and all of them are there. So I think that adds up. And then Ditto being in Cinnabar Island also makes sense because you can catch Ditto in Pokemon Mansion in Pokemon Yellow, Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, and it's pretty much speculated that Ditto was born in Cinnabar Island, that they did experiments on Mew here, and that, you know, eventually the failed experiments were Ditto, and so that's why Cinnabar Island to me makes a lot of sense. Having the Kanto starters here also kind of work out because, you know, Pallet Town is just up north, and so there's freedom for all these Pokemon to join. It seems like we're getting a ton of Pokemon anyways, like from all different regions. So I don't think this is going to be too indicative of anything. I just think it's the fact that it's Tangrowth and Ditto to find one location in Kanto that merges these two Pokemon together, or like identifies these two Pokemon. I think Cinnabar Island is the one that makes sense. Also, it being an island gives room to explore and just flesh things out in terms of the game, because it seems like wherever we are in Pokopia, we're kind of far away from almost like the rest of the world kind of thing. We're just on an island somewhere, and there's other islands for us to explore. So Cinnabar gives us that freedom. Otherwise, we'd be connected to like a huge piece of land, right? If we were directly on Kanto, like Saffron City or Fuchsia City or something like that, there might be too much for us to do, too much for us to build and explore. So that's what I think. Toby did tweet out saying that he thinks it's Fuchsia City, or I think he's looking into why it might be Fuchsia City. And I do see that because there are similarities between what we see in Pokopia and Fuchsia City. There's even like we get to go on Lapras and surf around, and that looks like south of Fuchsia to me. But it could be Cinnabar Island or any of the other islands. Again, the Sevi Islands are there, so who knows how many different islands there are near Kanto. It could be some islands that we don't even know about that's near Kanto. I also think that if it was Cinnabar, the volcano exploding and maybe causing a huge natural disaster could work out, but that doesn't explain why humans specifically are gone, not Pokemon. Maybe it wiped out all of Kanto, who knows, and the Pokemon just decided to like thrive somewhere else and they migrated here when they could. We don't know. Or it could be that the hero failed in whatever timeline they're in, and you know, the humans caused their own destruction, and so now Pokemon can take over. It could be that, it could be any of those things. But I'm gonna lock in Cinnabar Island. I think that makes sense, or any kind of islands around Kanto, not exactly Cinnabar, Sevi Islands, or whatever random islands. I don't think it's any of the cities or towns there. And again, we see Dragonite fly around to different islands. They specifically mentioned this game that you can go to different islands. So that's my lock-in. As for which Kanto this is very confusing because it could be any of them. See, we see from the outfit choices that it's Fire Red and Leaf Green's red that Ditto is trying to wear an outfit of. So you automatically think that, okay, it probably is post-apocalyptic Fire Red Leaf Green. But that doesn't make sense because we see the Gen 1 Pokedex. That is 100% the Gen 1 Pokedex, and that's not the Pokedex they have in Fire Red and Leaf Green. Fire Red and Leaf Green, they have a Pokedex that's reminiscent of the Game Boy Advance or Game Boy SP or something. But if you ask me, if there's any timeline to revoke here or just like create a post-apocalyptic version of, it would be the Let's Go timeline. Not because I don't like Let's Go, yes, that's true, but like, the fact that you have those two characters, Chase, Elaine, and Trace, I think, they're the protagonist and the rival of Let's Go, they don't fit into any canonical Pokemon universe as far as we're aware. And so I think it makes sense to kind of eliminate that universe. The Pokemon centers are also the same from Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, but that just could be because, you know, graphically things have improved, so we see Pokemon centers like that in Kanto in these games alone, but it could be the case for every Pokemon center in Kanto, in Fire Red, Leaf Green, Red, Blue, Yellow, we never know. But there's like 3 different indications that it could be any one of these Kantos. I really think they should make it post-apocalyptic Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. The only reason why that kind of doesn't work out is because this is the only Mega Evolution Kanto timeline that we see. Unless we're gonna get Mega Evolution Kanto later on in the future. Then getting rid of this is the best scenario or best bet, because again, you eliminate those 3 characters from ever existing. It kind of doesn't make sense because Red, Blue, Green all exist in that timeline or that universe, but Chase, Elaine, and Trace are all there, and they just are like, they just stick out like a sore thumb in terms of the Pokemon timeline and all that. So I think it's best to get rid of them, but it kind of looks like it is most likely going to be Red, Blue, and Yellow that they eliminate here because of the Pokedex. Because clothing wise, yeah, Blue and Red, their outfits could be similar and, you know, all that, but I don't think it's a huge indication, especially if you're getting Hue and like other characters for outfits. I don't think it really matters too much. And again, the stuff with the Pokemon centers and Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, maybe Red, Blue, and Yellow's Pokemon centers look like that, but just because of the times, we didn't see it like that. You never know. I do think it's Gen 1, but I'm really hoping they eliminate Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee out of this. I hope this is the way to like not retcon, but this is the way to take this timeline and just make something out of it. It's like Legend of Zelda, where you have different scenarios, different timelines, and you know, all these different timelines lead to different things. At some point, all the timelines split. I'm hoping with, now we know for sure we have a Mega Evolution Kanto timeline and a non-Mega Evolution Kanto timeline. I'm hoping this is the way they take this particular Mega Evolution Kanto timeline and they give us a new Mega Evolution Kanto in the future with the Kanto that works sense for everything we got. I hate timeline stuff, is so confusing and it's a headache, but that's what we got. And so I'm excited. I'm actually excited. I was anyways gonna buy Pokopia and play it. I just recently got into Animal Crossing, and so I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. But with all of this lore stuff, I think this is a must buy for anyone who's into the Pokemon lore, Pokemon timeline, all this. There's gonna be so much to explore and learn about, and it's gonna be so lore heavy. I'm excited. I'm pretty amped. Pokemon fans are literally eating for all of 2026. It's absolutely crazy.